Corrupted police department acquires a fleet of surveillance drones. Because it's the holiday. It's the time for giving. New York, the police department has given itself the gift of a new surveillance tool. The NYPD, with a history of illegal spying, will be armed with 14 new aerial drones. The New York Civil Liberties Union is deeply concerned about the plan. The NYPD's drones are outfitted with cameras equipped with sophisticated technology and 4K resolution. The mere presence of these police cameras can create a chilling effect on people exercising their rights to free speech, protest, and other lawful activities. From the bedroom window to the busy street, these devices will be able to capture anything the officers want to see. The NYCLU said, given how easy drones make surveillance and the NYPD's troubling history of unlawful spying, it's critical that the policies that govern their use put strict limits on when and where they can be deployed. Or they just shouldn't have them. Why do they need all of these drones? The NYCLU is concerned that the drones will one day use facial recognition technology on the deployed drones. In the plan, the department did end up including a prohibition on using facial surveillance on drone footage. But the final policy includes a loophole for this ban in the case of a public safety concern. So all you need to do is say it's in the name of safety and you can get away with it. Much like the Patriot Act, much like everything that justifies limitless surveillance and limitless spying, if you say it's in the name of public safety, you can get away with it. So you can use facial recognition if you say it's in the name of public safety. When you can say that? Whenever you want. Police will be able to say it's in the name of public safety whenever they frickin' feel like it. What does that mean? They can use facial surveillance via drones to spy on people. And this is a police organization that has a reputation for illegal spying. They also have done such award-winning policies like stop and frisk. The NYPD, now they have drones. And you know, if they're real good, maybe Santa will give them a drone that can hurt somebody. Maybe that's what they'll get if they're real good next year. This is a disturbing development, not just for the obvious privacy-eroding dangers, but all of the subtle ways it will oppress and influence people in their everyday lives. How will we act differently, or how will our behaviors or thoughts change when these are always buzzing overhead? Orwell. We're living in it. You know, it's... I gotta be honest, I try really hard not to overgeneralize, not to have a bias. Although whenever somebody says, not all cops are bad, tell them to stop talking, because that is an elementary straw man argument, because when you talk about the problem with law enforcement, you're talking about a systemic problem. You're not talking about an individual problem. You're talking about a systemic problem. So saying, not all cops are bad, that's like when you have an E. coli outbreak being like, not all the lettuce is bad. Some of the shreds are actually quite good. No, it's a systemic issue. It needs a systemic solution. So saying not all cops are bad, that's a straw man. But anyway, I try really hard not to overgeneralize. And at my grandmother's funeral recently, my dad gave the eulogy. He did an amazing job. And he told me after, now keep in mind, my family's fairly progressive. You know, we disagree on a few things. I'm to the left of them, but they're pretty progressive. You know, half voted Bernie, half voted Hillary because they thought Bernie couldn't win, even though they preferred Bernie's policies, but whatever. So anyway, my family's fairly progressive. My dad tells me, hey, so somebody said that my eulogy, I reminded them of George W., which just hearing that made my stomach turn. And, you know, I said, I was just like, wow, why did they insult you at your mother's funeral? And he said, well, they meant it as a compliment. And, you know, I kind of laughed and said, gee, you know, that hurts, you know, making it clear he wasn't a fan of Bush. But I said to him, I said, don't tell me who said that. Because this is my grandmother's funeral, and I appreciate all the people that came out, and I don't want to think less of anyone here right now. You know, I just don't want to think about it right now. I really don't. So don't even tell me who said. I don't want to know. And but then in my mind, so there's a family friend who's a cop. I don't know him all that well. He grew up with his dad and my grandfather were very close. Because my grandfather, when he was alive, was a volunteer firefighter, and so was this guy. And this guy's son went on to be a cop, and they've just been friends in the family, forever. And I assumed it was him. I have no idea if it actually is. I'm recognizing my own imperfections as a human. He might be progressive for all I know. I have no idea this guy's personal politics. I've only ever said hello, how are you to the guy. But recognizing my own imperfections as a human, I assumed it was him. Because the one clue my dad gave me was he was like, well, it wasn't a family member. So I knew, I have some cousins that are a little more conservative leaning, but they know where we're at. You know what I mean? Like, they know where we're at, so I'd assume they wouldn't make a comment like that because they know where we're at politically. And they especially know where I'm at politically because they, some of them still come to my stand-up shows, which I wonder if they enjoy any of it, but I appreciate them being there, showing their family support. But I assumed it was the cop. I was like, I bet it was him. And I could be wrong. Just like, yeah, anyway, it's not important. I just thought it was kind of a funny aside. I'm not a perfect man. I admit my own biases. He could be, he might be the biggest lefty. Probably not. But you never know. And yeah, I drink water out of a mason jug. All the time. Unapologetically. But I was like, I bet it was the cop. All right. So, happy holidays, NYPD. Good job. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and